Om Ajnana Timarandasya Niranjana Swami Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachanam Bhangam Mangayate Gare Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurave Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Mutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani. The Rathayatra festival, which you've participated, many of you have participated in today, is an event that takes place not only here in East Hartford, Connecticut, but it is a replica of an event which takes place every year in a city called Puri in India. There are millions of pilgrims assemble to gather to pull three very large chariots upon which their lordships Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra are seated. And it is this event which has been replicated throughout the world by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. One of the main purposes for this event is that ordinarily one thinks in order to obtain the mercy of the Supreme Lord, according to the standard rules of worship, generally one goes to the temple where the Lord is worshipped, and to go and to partake of His mercy in the form of benedictions, which can be received through prayer, in the form of the opportunity to render service to Him. But this Rathayatra festival, Ratha means cart and Yatra means procession, is at one time during the course of the year where the Supreme Lord makes the opportunity to get benedictions from Him very easily accessible. Whereas ordinarily, one would have to go to the temple to partake of His darshan or to see Him and to serve Him. He comes out. He comes out into the street, and as quoted by Radha in the beginning, one of the quotes that were given, that anyone who takes part in this procession can be relinquished of all sins. There's also a quote in the Brahma Purana which describes that anyone who simply sees this form of Jagannath, Jagannath means Lord of the universe, anyone who simply sees this form on this procession on Rathayatra Day doesn't have to take birth again, simply by seeing that form. That is the manifestation of mercy. And the Lord very kindly manifests that mercy by not only giving us the opportunity to see Him, but an opportunity to serve Him. This festival is such an opportunity. Anyone who grabs the ropes, pulls the cart, they're actually participating in a very deep internal spiritual event of serving the Lord. Being taken on a procession, and the mood of that procession is that the devotees who are pulling the cart, they're actually thinking about how to bring Krishna back to his home, Vrindavan. So, that is one way to serve the Lord, and by understanding the mood of the event, certainly that service opportunity is there, simply to take the rope. But even if one doesn't know the mood of the event, even if somebody just puts his hand on the rope and pulls it, wanting to do what everybody else is doing, the same benefit is there. This is His kindness, His mercy, to give that opportunity to serve Him. pulling the ropes, singing his names, cooking food for his pleasure, serving food for his pleasure, speaking about him for his pleasure, hearing about him. These are all ways that one can actually get an opportunity which is otherwise very difficult to obtain if one has to go, especially in our temple here. It would never accommodate all of you. Small building. If all of you wanted to come at the same time to get this opportunity, unfortunately I don't think he would fit. So he's come out here. And he does this. Makes this opportunity to serve him very easily accessible. Our spiritual master once told a story, interesting story, about a village man, simple village man. And this simple village man, he had a desire. He wanted to serve the greatest person. So, very simple village man, he decided to go to the mayor of the village. And he requested him, "Can I serve you?" And because the simple man was very simple-hearted, had a very genuine desire to serve, the mayor accepted him and allowed him to participate in rendering service to him. One day, while the simple village man was serving the mayor, he noticed that the mayor received a guest who had come on behalf of the local governor to collect taxes. So the mayor very respectfully received the representative of the governor, gave him his taxes, and the village man, he saw, who is that person? He said, "Oh, he's the representative of the governor." "And who's the governor? Is he greater than you?" So the mayor said, "Yes, the governor is greater than me." So the village man said, "I want to serve him." So the mayor, understanding the intent of the simple village man, he introduced him to the governor, and before time he was actually given the opportunity to render service to the governor. One day, while serving the governor, the simple village man happened to notice a large infantry of soldiers coming. And he was told it's the viceroy coming along with this infantry of soldiers who was representative of the king. So naturally, the simple village man again inquired who is that from the governor, and the governor said, "Oh, that's the viceroy of the king." And the village man said, "Who is the king? Is he greater than you?" So the governor told him, "Oh yes, the king is much greater than me. I want to serve him," said the village man. So the village man, he was very expert in many affairs. He could do many things. So he spoke to the king on behalf of him. And arrangements were soon made for him to give an opportunity to render service to the king. He served the king for many months. And one day while he was serving the king told him, "Get my chariot. I'm going to meet a great sage. I want to ask him how to conduct the affairs of my kingdom." So the simple village man who was serving the king prepared his chariot, got on, made all arrangements for the king to go, and went out, and he saw how the king received the sage, genuine spiritual religious man. And the king sat with him, offered all respect to him, and he could immediately understand that the king saw the sage as somebody who was greater than him. So when the village man had the first opportunity before the king was returning, he went and he spoke to the sage and said, "Are you greater than the king?" And the sage said, "No, I'm not greater than the king. I'm simply a servant." "Servant of who? Is there somebody greater than you?" He said, "Yes, there's somebody greater than me. You can serve the Supreme Lord where I am." He's much greater than me. So the simple village man said, how? Where do I go? Where do I find the Supreme Lord so I can serve him? So the sage told him about a temple where he could go, where he would find Lord Narayan. So the simple village man immediately left the service of the king and went to the temple. When he appeared to the temple, it's a long journey. He arrived late at night. And when he got to the temple, he was knocking on the door. Nobody would answer. The temple was closed. So the simple village man, he decided that he would just lie down there and wait for the temple to open because he wanted to see the Lord Narayan. And he went to sleep. Following morning, 2 priests from the temple walked by this village man who was sitting outside, sleeping, lying outside the temple. And he saw that on the village man was a chadar, a shawl, which was worn by the Lord, the deity. And then they were thinking that this village man must have stolen. How else would he get this shawl directly from the deity? So they went to the village man. And they said, where did you get that? And the village man didn't know. He said, I don't know. I was simply sleeping here. And I don't know where this shawl came from. So they were saying, you're a thief. You stole this from the deity. The village man said, no, I did not steal. So they went inside the temple, tried to go inside the temple, to determine how the thief had taken the shawl from the deity. And they saw that the doors were all locked. It was not possible for him to have stolen the shawl. They realized that the deity, the Supreme Lord, placed the shawl on the simple village man at night while he was sleeping so he wouldn't be uncomfortable. And then the priest realized that this is no ordinary person. The Supreme Lord himself has placed the shawl on this gentleman. So they immediately realized that he must be a servant of the Supreme Lord. And they accepted him and asked him to become a priest and to render service to the deity. In this way, by his determination, his strong desire to render service to the Supreme, to the greatest person, this simple village man had the opportunity to serve the greatest person. Now, this little story helps us to understand that it takes great determination and desire ordinarily to get the opportunity to render service to the greatest person. But Lord Jagannath, in this festival of Rathayatra, has given that opportunity to everyone who participates. Simply by hearing, simply by seeing, simply by pulling the ropes, simply by chanting names, simply by organizing an event, and participating in an event for his pleasure and for his service. Such persons all derive the benefit which is derived by rendering service to the Supreme. So much so that, as we said before, that anyone who simply sees this form of the Lord during the Rathayatra festival, he doesn't have to take birth again. That may sound like a nice proposition to some. Some may not want it. Some may desire to come back again. But whatever the circumstance, one who gets the opportunity to serve the Lord, his devotional life begins. And he realizes that wherever I am, There is a verse, Narayana Paraksave Natutastanya Viviti, Svarga Pavarga Narakeshvapitu Yarta Dashina. Whether a person is in heaven, hell, liberated, for a devotee, it's all the same. Because a devotee's highest pleasure, greatest satisfaction, wherever he may be, is simply to render service to the Supreme. That is the ultimate liberated state, which is easily obtainable even in this life, in this world. One does not have to wait to make this the last birth before one experiences the pleasure of serving the Supreme Lord. Anyone who gets simply a little taste, a little glimpse, a little understanding of the great value of coming in contact with the Supreme, which is a very rare opportunity, but ordinarily is now so easily accessible by the mercy of Lord Jagannath, who's kindly appeared here today for the benefit of all of you, as he also appears in New York City, as he also appears in Moscow, as he also appears in Indonesia, India, Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi, Jagannath Puri, London, and all the major cities of the world, by the mercy of his servant, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Everyone on this planet is given an opportunity to get contact with the Supreme and to gradually realize their constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Supreme. That is one meaning of this festival. I could explain so many more meanings, but you've been very kind, and most of you have listened, and I thank you very much for your tolerance and patience. Please have a nice festival. Hare Krishna.